search is on for the suspect that fatally shot 3 people on the University of Virginia campus Sunday night.
Former President George Bush will be speaking with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in Dallas this week in an effort to drum up support for the Republican Party.
The COVID public health emergency deadline is coming up, and the Biden administration is on the fence on whether to renew the state of emergency.
Broadcasting live from the University of North Texas, this is ntTV News at Noon.
Thanks for joining us on ntTV News at Noon. I'm Isabella Quintanilla.
And I'm Mauricio Ortiz-Segura. 6 people were confirmed dead after 2 planes collided during the Wings Over Dallas show. Their names are Terry Barker, Craig Hutain, Kevin K5 Michels, Dan Regan, Leonard Len Root, and Kurt Rowe. The tragedy occurred this past weekend during an air show at the Dallas Executive Airport. Many people have turned to social media to express their grief, condolences, and kind words about the victims. The National Transportation Safety Board, which is handling the investigation, said on Sunday that there were 5 crew members on the Boeing B-17 Flying Fortress and 1 aboard the Pell's P-63 King Cobra. The Houston-based aircraft were not giving rides to paying customers at the time.
The University of Virginia suspect who fatally shot 3 people and injured 2 others is now in custody. The suspect, Christopher Darnell Jones Jr., is facing 3 counts of second-degree murder and 3 counts of using a handgun in commission of a felony. Those killed were all members of the University of Virginia football team. The 2 other victims that were injured are students as well, with 1 in critical condition. The motive for the incident is still under investigation.
Our thoughts and prayers go to all the shooting victims.
Let's head over to our weather anchor, Kayla Bumpus, for more on the forecast. Hey, Kayla?
Thank you, Isabella. Today we are getting some cold weather. Right now, the temperature in Denton is 40 degrees Fahrenheit, and it feels around the same at 37 degrees Fahrenheit. It is 4 miles per hour wind speed, so it's not too windy right now, and it is currently raining, so go ahead and bring your umbrellas out. Tonight, the temperatures are very similar, with a high of 43 and a low of 37. Wind speeds will pick up at 9 miles per hour, and it is going to continue to rain, so expect some rainy weather today. And tomorrow's conditions, they're going to get a little warmer. We're not going to see any rain. It's going to mainly be cloudy. The high will be 49 and the low will be 42 degrees Fahrenheit, and the wind speeds are going to pick up to 10 miles per hour. That's all I have for you right now. Back to the desk.
Thanks, Kayla. Hurricane Nicole left much in its wake as surveyors are still estimating the amount of damage it caused to the state of Florida. CNN's Joe McLean has the report.
6 weeks after being battered by Hurricane Ian, Nicole swept through the Sunshine State Thursday, damaging homes, rattling infrastructure, and washing away more of St. Johns County's southern beaches, Summer Haven and Crescent Beach. You can see the wide swath of beach that was washed away, cleared by the Atlantic waters. On Friday, work got underway to tally the extent of the damage.
The storm just passed. We're trying to assess all the damage. We do have areas that have damage, and we're trying to get temporary repairs done.
Joe Giamanco is the county's emergency management director. He said the county has teams checking coastal erosion and another team checking on residential damage to homes, vehicles, and other property. And still another team working to assess the damage to county infrastructure like roads, bridges, and waterways. And all that work, he said, will take some time.
We have a lot of repairs, temporary repairs already done, but that initial assessment will happen now, and then the next several weeks we'll continue on refining those assessments as we go forward to ask for assistance through FEMA.
The storm's effects aren't going unnoticed by local beachgoers, like Corey Armont. He's been fishing here for 3 years and says after these recent storms, he's noticed a change in where he's fishing.
You know, you literally used to be able to walk through this. It's probably like 10 feet deep, maybe like 8. It's too deep to walk through now.
And what he's catching.
You know, you never know what you're going to catch, but last time I came, I caught some pretty nice sized fish.
Still, though, officials are warning residents to avoid storm-struck areas, to allow crews to work, and to avoid any lingering dangers from the storm's aftermath.
St. Johns County officials are hoping to have a more comprehensive assessment of the damage by later today.
Following the midterm elections, it looks as if the Democrats will keep control of the Senate, but the House is still up for grabs. This story is coming next.
And the weather has been very chilly lately, but hopefully we'll be seeing some nicer weather later this week. Your full weather report is coming up after the break.
At a time when misinformation is all too common on social media, we take great pride in bringing you the news that matters, that impacts your family, news you can trust. Local broadcast journalists bring you the facts, covering the stories breaking in our community and across the globe. Text TV to 52886 and let Congress know you depend on local journalism. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
UNT is more than 125 years in the making. To find new solutions, we create a new point of view. We know what's possible when creativity, originality, and independent thought converge. We're ranked a Tier 1 research university. We're home to excellence the size of Texas. Define your future at UNT and soar to new heights.
There was a lot at stake this midterm election, but a crucial victory in Nevada has led to the Democrats retaining control of the Senate for the next 2 years. Now all eyes are on who will gain control of the House, which is still up for grabs. CNN's Gloria Pazmino has the latest.
This is such a cause for a celebration.
A celebration indeed for Democrats, who will now retain control of the Senate on Capitol Hill. The critical win comes after Nevada Democratic incumbent Catherine Cortez Masto defeated Republican challenger Adam Laxalt after trailing him for days as votes were counted.
We've known this was going to be a tough campaign, but like all of you, I'm a Nevadan, and I know what it takes to deliver for my home state.
We won because we had a really good agenda that we actually passed, that helped the American people on things they cared about.
This should have been a huge red wave. It should have been one of the biggest red waves we've ever had because, the President Biden's approval rating was so low.
Democrats managed to hold at least 50 seats in the Senate. The victory comes as a major boost for President Joe Biden. Now the question remains, who will control the House? So far, Democrats hold 204 seats to Republicans' 211. The number needed to control the lower chamber is 218 seats.
Let's just get through the election, okay? They haven't won yet.
As I've said all along, it'd be perilously close. We can win it. Whether we're going to win it remains to be seen.
And we may not find out who wins the House for weeks. As the vote count continues in states like Arizona, California, and Oregon with a large share of mail-in ballots. I'm Gloria Pazmino reporting.
In other news, former President George W. Bush is rounding up support among Republicans for Ukraine. Bush will be holding a public conversation with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky at his presidential center in Dallas next week. Zelensky will be participating remotely from Ukraine, but the event itself will be open to the public. Bush's support comes as Republican House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy has hinted the new Congress may be taking a closer look at funding for Ukraine. McCarthy hopes to become Speaker of the House next year if Republicans take control of the chamber. The Biden administration has poured more than $18 billion into the war so far to counter the Russian invasion. Well, Mauricio, the weather has been really cold lately, and I gotta say, not really a fan of the cold weather. Really hoping for some sun soon.
Well, Bella, I'd say you're a little late to the party because I've always hated cold weather. But let's see if we're gonna have any cold weather for the rest of the week. So let's go with our weather anchor, Kayla Bumpus, for the full weather report. Kayla?
Unpopular opinion here at the station, but I actually like the cold weather, so I'm excited to see this week's forecast. In Gainesville, we are seeing low temperatures of 38 degrees Fahrenheit. In McKinney, similar at 41 degrees. And in Fort Worth, it's a little warmer at 44 degrees Fahrenheit. And across the state, we're seeing similar weather, a little bit colder, and we are actually seeing some snow. So y'all have some places to steer clear from. In Amarillo, it is 27 degrees. Let me find it. 27 degrees outside, and we can expect 1 to 3 inches of snow today. And over in Oklahoma City, we can also expect 1 to 2 inches of snow with the temperature at 39 degrees, but it is decreasing. And in Houston, we are seeing the classic warm weather, no snow. It's not feeling like Christmas yet in Houston. Now for the 7-day forecast, it is going to be pretty chilly this week. So we're starting off with a low of 30 and a high of 49 on Tuesday with cloudy in the beginning. Thursday, we're going to see it a little sunnier, but similar temperatures with a high of 33 and a low of 56 degrees. And throughout the week, it'll be sunny, cloudy again on Saturday, but this weekend you can look forward to some more sun with a low of 37 and a high of 57. That's this week's weather. Thank you so much. Back to everyone at the desk.
Thanks, Kayla. Tesla and its CEO, Elon Musk, have found themselves in more trouble as they're going to court over a Tesla payout package that helped Elon become the richest man in the world. At the time, in 2018, the deal was said to be worth nearly $56 billion and has a current net value of $51 billion. The case was brought to court by Richard Tornetta on behalf of Tesla shareholders. Tornetta made the claim that Musk exploited control over the company and the board of directors in order to get his massive compensation package to, quote, fund his personal ambition to colonize Mars, which is a reference to Musk being the founder of SpaceX. The reason for this package in 2018 was because Tesla was struggling to find its footing and hoped that it would keep Musk at the company for the long haul. The class action lawsuit accuses Tesla's board of breaching its fiduciary duties for waste and that Musk has breached his for unjust enrichment.
And a tough loss for the Cowboys just yesterday as the Packers took the win in overtime. We know our sports anchor Alec Rapp isn't too happy about this outcome, but we'll hear from him at the end of the show, so stick with us.
Thanksgiving is just around the corner, and if you're a fitness buff, then we have to go to Turkey Trot for you here in Denton. We will have more information for you coming up after the break.
Has the weight of stress and anxiety ever felt too heavy to overcome? Wish there was a safe place to confide in? Wish granted. At UNT, we offer counseling and testing services to students located on the 3rd floor of Chestnut Hall. UNT, we're here for you.
Hey, listen to my flow to save some H2O. This my water rhyme, and this is how it goes. First, turn off the sink and take some time to think. When you waste water, our supply shrinks. When you take a shower, not more than an hour. Shoot for 10 minutes and save water power. Use a reusable bottle, smart like Aristotle. Ditch all the plastic and be a role model. And that was my H2O flow. Please remember how it goes, because if you don't, Earth will go, oh no!
For those of you who like to get your marathon on Thanksgiving Day, Denton's 7th annual Turkey Trot will be held on Thanksgiving Day, November 24th. The registration has grown from 1,500 participants to nearly 2,500. The run will start at 9 a.m. and goes through the TWU campus. The price for adults is $35 and kids is only $20. Be sure when you register to pick up your packet between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. at the Denton County Brewing Company on November 24th. The trot is also collecting canned goods for the Denton Community Food Center. Donators will receive a raffle ticket to win a gift basket, so be sure and get your turkey trot on.
Thanksgiving is going to be a bit more expensive this year. This is partially due to the recent turkey shortage that has caused the spike in prices. The U.S. Department of Agriculture says turkeys cost 23% more compared to last year. This inclination of prices can be contributed to inflation and a recent outbreak of bird flu.
For Thanksgiving, so I thought I better see if I could find one early.
Overall, it's been calculated that the average Thanksgiving dinner is going to cost 14% more than last year. However, the cost shouldn't stop you and your loved ones from gathering and celebrating. Even though Thanksgiving is right around the corner, you can already see people putting up their Christmas lights. And however, no one does it quite like the Dallas Arboretum and Botanical Gardens. I got to visit the Holiday at the Arboretum event this past weekend, and there was plenty to see. Let's take a look.
Flu season has barely started, and yet over half the U.S. is already reporting high or very high amounts of respiratory illness activity. Places like Washington, New York City, Puerto Rico, and another 22 states are seeing cases of flu, RSV, and COVID-19 pop up. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention are saying influenza is contributing to a significant proportion of those illnesses. The number of flu cases almost doubled in the last week of October, and cases jumped again in the first week of November. As of November 5th, there have been at least 2.8 million illnesses, 23,000 hospitalizations, and 1,300 deaths from influenza. There's an updated Moderna COVID-19 vaccine booster that has been proven to generate significantly higher protection against the two Omicron variants. The company says that this conclusion comes from a study of more than 500 people across all age ranges. The group was vaccinated with an original series of shots boosted with Moderna's original vaccine, then boosted again months later with the bivalent version. Moderna says every person had a 15-fold increase in Omicron BA4 and BA5 antibody levels compared to pre-booster levels. The CDC says that this BA5 strain makes up 30% of all new COVID infections in the U.S. Earlier this month, both Pfizer and BioNTech said their study results also showed its updated bivalent booster provided a substantially higher immune response.
The Biden administration is facing a deadline to decide whether to lift or extend the COVID-19 public health emergency. This has been in place since January 2020 and is renewed every 90 days. The current declaration expires January 11th. However, since states have not been given the required 60-day notice ending the declaration, it will likely be extended. Some Americans may face more out-of-pocket medical expenses if it ends. For example, Medicare and Medicaid recipients would have to pay for COVID-19 treatments, and some Americans with private insurance might have to pay lab costs.
According to the WHO, 1 in 13 people around the world suffer from anxiety. Some people's anxiety is so severe that they have to take medication to help deal with it. However, Americans who deal with severe anxiety may be able to treat their condition without medications. According to a study published Wednesday in JAMA Psychiatry Trusted Source, mindfulness-based cognitive therapy and mindfulness-based stress reduction appear to be beneficial for issues like depression. The findings are based on a review of data collected last year from nearly 300 people in a clinical trial. There were some limitations to the research, including only being held in 3 medical centers and most participants being female. Researchers say they don't know why mindfulness appears to help lower anxiety, but you can't argue with science.
Well, it felt like Texas couldn't win anything this past weekend, but Alec, how are we feeling?
Well, Mauricio, I'm not feeling great because obviously the Cowboys lost. I'll talk about that a little bit more, but the Cowboys weren't the only team here in the DFW that lost. More on that right after this.
Live from UNT, it's Wheel of Culture.
Welcome back to Wheel of Culture. Our contestant is so close to solving this puzzle. But first, it's time to give the wheel a spin. Wow, you landed on London, one of the many places where you and your fellow students can go on a chance to experience new culture. But only if you can solve this puzzle.
I'd like to solve the puzzle. Study abroad.
That's correct. You just won yourself a trip to study abroad in London, England, and you can too. Just go to studyabroad.unt.edu to see deadlines and apply for scholarships. Get ready to study abroad.
I'm heading out, man. You want to ride? No, I got my car, but I actually really need to go to the bathroom. Dude, are you okay? I am definitely buzzed. Yeah. I think I will take this, and I will take that ride home. Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry, man. Oh, sorry.
It was the opposite of the notorious MJ flu game for North Texas, who lost by 30 points in their game against St. Mary's last night. Prior to tip-off, it was reported that the entire team had the flu and did not practice this past week. The team was also without guards Tyler Perry and Reuben Jones due to unrelated injuries. The Mean Green, they quickly fell behind, only shooting 14% in the first half. They were trailing 34-12 going into the break. North Texas played better in the second half, scoring 21, but it was nowhere near enough as the team lost its first game of the season 63-33. The starting 5 combined for 15 total points, with the remaining scores coming off the bench. North Texas is back at home this Saturday at 5 p.m. against Fresno State. And continuing the trend of losses, it was a bad weekend for UNT football, who clinched a bowl last week in a big win over FIU. The Mean Green traveled to Birmingham, where they lost 41-21 to the UAB Blazers. North Texas was dominated on the ground, giving up 271 yards. The Blazers running backs Dwayne McBride and Jermaine Brown Jr. both had over 100 yards and combined for 4 total touchdowns. UNT has a bye this week, but they must beat Rice in the final game of the year to advance to the Conference USA Championship. And it felt like reliving history yesterday as the Cowboys once again fell to the Packers in Green Bay. It was head coach Mike McCarthy's first game back in Green Bay since being fired in 2018. And the Cowboys went into the fourth quarter leading 28-14, but they fell apart offensively and the game went to overtime. In overtime, the Cowboys' only drive ended on a 4th and short following a missed pass interference call on Jair Alexander. The Packers then drove the field and Mason Crosby hit the game-winning field goal. The Cowboys lost their first game in franchise history when leading by 14 points in the fourth quarter, and they'll look to get back on track next week against the 8-1 Minnesota Vikings. That's all for me. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Alec. Well, we're back to turkeys. Even though Thanksgiving is right around the corner, you can already see people putting up their Christmas lights. We're back to Christmas. However, no one does it quite like the Dallas Arboretum in Botanical Gardens. I got to visit the holiday at the Arboretum event this past weekend, and there was plenty to see. So let's take a look. 66-acre Dallas Arboretum in Botanical Gardens has opened its doors for guests who can't wait for the holidays to come. The holiday at the Arboretum event is so popular amongst Texans from all over that some even make it a tradition to visit as the season draws near.
Since we moved here in, 2013, so every year.
Since this is my first time here, I decided to follow the beautifully tree-lit path that guided my sleigh that night through the 12 days of Christmas. The crowning jewel of Dallas settles you in by playing those classic holiday tunes that you hear every year and showing their wonderfully artistic interpretations of each day of Christmas.
When we come, the Virgin Mary, and in case you didn't hear, oh my golly,
Why, they made me want to join the Lords in their leaping, and I even had to hit a jig for the boys in plaid. After making my way to the final day of Christmas, I can understand how the Arboretum has won so many awards for its annual event. There's also the Christmas Village that makes its festive return. There was plenty of food and vendors present where you could grab a cup of hot cocoa and a tasty bite to eat. Out of all the things to do in the village, however, there was one clear fan favorite.
Santa.
Santa? Easy?
Yeah, Santa, and yeah, absolutely.
That did it. I had to go meet the man in the big red suit himself, and I could hardly contain my excitement.
Hey, I've been working very hard. How many presents you made? Like, all millions of presents. Hope one of those are for you.
I've been a good boy.
Oh, all right.
I swear. I had one last thing to see, and it was the Arboretum's 50-foot-tall, dazzling musical tree. A bunch of people came out to see this constantly shining tree and all of its colored bells and whistles. This was a glowing spectacle to behold, and it's running until December 31st. I recommend anyone who wants to pay Dallas a visit to check out the Arboretum for themselves. The Arboretum also has an Artistry of Faith and Culture exhibit that explores the artistry of Christmas, Hanukkah, and Kwanzaa going on. The event is going until the 31st of December, so don't miss out on this festive delight.
That looked like so much fun, Mauricio. I've been wanting to go there for years. How was it?
Oh, it was really fun, but do bundle up because I almost froze my hands off.
Yeah, it's pretty cold out there. That pumpkin bread did look pretty good, though.
It was quite tasty, I gotta say.
With the weather we've been having, we're finally getting the Christmas spirit, so it sounds like the perfect time to go.
Yes, so excited.
Perfect.
Well, thanks for joining us at ntTV News at noon.
Join us again tomorrow. We're on North Texas Television.